It all started in August 1977 in a decent council house on Green Street. Peggy Hodgson was a single mother with 4 children, putting her children to bed and tucking them in when there were very, very strange noises. First of all, it was just knocking, an insistent, almost rhythmic sound that came from the walls themselves. Peggy dismissed it as just the usual creaks and groans of an old house, but the noises wouldn't let up, louder now, more insistent with each successive night. Then came the incident that would mark the beginning of the Hodgson family's ordeal. One night, late while the children are trying to fall asleep, 11-year-old Janet Hodgson suddenly feels herself thrown from her bed by some unseen force. In the room, furniture seems to move on its own. Heavy dressers slide across the floor as if pushed by invisible hands. Peggy entered a room with her screaming daughter and wide-eyed, fearful children. The bed had been turned over, and the once peaceful room was in disarray. Something terribly wrong was taking place here, and the family was aware of it. The disturbances gained in frequency and power with time. Things flew about the room. Toys whizzed by in the air as if slung by invisible hands, and blasts of cold wind would shoot through the house, although the windows were closed. The knocking became continuous, like some evil spirit struggling to make itself heard. Extensive publicity about the bizarre occurrences brought hundreds of curious neighbors, local journalists, and ultimately 2 seasoned paranormal investigators to the family's home in the London borough of Enfield. Skeptical, but not dismissive, Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair of the Society for Psychical Research set up shop at the Hodgson's house in Enfield, a community located north of London, to determine just what was going on in the family's residence. What they discovered defied anything they, and many locals, had ever seen. Over the next 18 months, Grosse and Playfair would log nearly 2,000 incidents of paranormal activity. Janet became the center of the phenomena, often falling into a trance-like state where she spoke in deep, guttural tones that didn't sound like her voice at all. The voice claimed to be that of one Bill Wilkins, a man who had died in the house years earlier. He detailed how he had died, explaining in great detail how he had suffered a hemorrhage while sitting in the living room chair. The investigators were puzzled. Janet, an adolescent and no scholar on the history of the house, could not have known these details, but the voice was just a beginning. The poltergeist activities intensified in violence to the point that Janet was levitated, thrown across the room, and even strangled by unseen hands. The house itself appeared to live with malevolence. There were cold spots in the middle of summer, and some strange, oppressing atmosphere hung over this family, drawing out energy and hope. Every night, the Hodgsons were subjected to the relentless presence that seemed bent on driving them from their home. Legend of the Enfield Poltergeist took the media by storm, and newspapers as well as television crews began to take notice of some of the supernatural activities that were, by now, happening on a daily basis. But despite the attention, the Hodgsons could never find respite from the poltergeist. Soon after, the skeptics raised questions about the veracity of the events, postulating that the children were playing creative pranks, or at best, the phenomena could be explained by natural causes. But for those witnesses firsthand, to the investigators, something otherworldly was afoot. The haunting eventually died down, but the memories of the terrifying months lingered long after the last knock was heard. The Hodgson family moved on, and the house on Green Street was left as a piece of dark legend, reminding us how thin that veil is between our world and the unknown. Looming large in the annals of the paranormal, the Enfield Poltergeist is still one of the most documented and disputed cases in history. One part real haunting and one part complex hoax, the story of the suffering visited upon the Hodgson family still remains captivated and terrified by those who have looked with courage into the shadows. One time, something queer lay in suburban Enfield, in the dark, something unexplained, a mark of inerasable memory for all of us. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most documented paranormal cases in history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and let me know in the comments what you think really happened in Enfield. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we cannot see. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.